here, and as promised for my 200th video, I said I'll be doing a review of the PlayStation Portable and the iPod Touch. So I'm going to be doing a review, also a comparison between the two devices. Before I get into the main bulk of the video, I thought it'd be a good idea to mention, and be fair to mention, that this is the original PlayStation Portable from 2005, so or the PSP Fat, and this is the brand new iPod Touch that was released September of 2012, and you may have seen that unboxing that I did earlier in my channel around Christmas time. So yep, so that's the two nitty-gritty arguments that may need to be resolved first. So I thought in part one, I might look at the actual hardware of both of the devices and look at the external features before getting into the main software and the running of both devices. So for part one, we're just going to look at basically the hardware and just the outer shell of each device. So if we look at the PSP first, you can see it's made by Sony, as I'm sure most people know, and you have the general Sony layout. I'm going to have to zoom in instead because the autofocus is playing up slightly. Okay, so it's made by Sony. You have your general circle, triangle, X and square. You have your power and hold button, which is basically a switch here on the side, and you just simply switch it up to turn the power on. And if you're watching a UMD movie, for example, and you don't want to, if it's in your pocket, or if you listen to music, for example, and you're going to be holding the device, you don't want to accidentally press a button which is either going to skip your music or your UMD movie that you're watching. So that's a pretty handy feature. You also have your start button there. You also have your, next to the start button, you have the select button right next to it. You then have your music button. So as soon as you click that, that'll send you straight to your music file, so you can play all your music from the device, and it also enables you to cycle through your different files that you may have and different folders. So that's a very useful function as well. This button here, this square here, that enables you to adjust the brightness, and I believe that there's 3 stages of the brightness. You have your very low light one, if light conditions are pretty much intense, and then if you're playing in a very dark setting, you may want to use the brighter function. So you just simply click it over and over to adjust the brightness to your level. So if we take a look at further across, obviously you have the PSP engraving there. You also have the volume adjustment button, which is just there. So the plus, obviously, you're going to increase the volume, and the minus to decrease the volume. Similar on the PlayStation 3 controller, you have the home button. So as soon as you click that in mid-game or mid-DVD, you are able to, or UMD, sorry, you are able to press that, and you're able to go straight back to the home menu if you select yes. And surprisingly, the original PSP came with an analog stick, and I believe it was the very first portable console to actually have an analog stick, which is very useful. There's a lot of excitement over that as soon as the PSP was released. Above that, you have the general directional buttons there. And on this side here, you have the Wi-Fi switch, so you simply flick that up to enable the Wi-Fi. But if you're not using the Wi-Fi, it's best to keep it off so you don't drain out your battery. At the back, you simply have your left bumper there, and further across, you have your right bumper there. And originally, when I first had this device, I originally thought the speaker was at the top where these small circles are all the way along, but actually the speaker is situated at the bottom, and it's a stereo speaker because there's 2 ports to it. So there's one on the left and one on the right. And while we're at the bottom, I think we'll take a look at some of the jacks that are at the bottom. So you have the headphone in, and the original Sony earphone set comes in another input jack, which now allows you to plug your earphones in that support a control, so you can adjust the volume and the channel settings. And so it's very good if you're listening to music, for example. You don't want to pull the whole PSP out your pocket. You can just adjust it, similar to what iPod's got, the remote on the actual earphone, which is very useful. And you can also just use standard earphones. You'll just simply just go into the headphone slot. And here you have the 5-volt power supply with a DC input. So it's 5 volt, and that simply just comes with the device, and you simply charge it for about 3 to 4 hours, and that should pretty much give you full charge. So we take a look at the top. At the top, you have the, I believe this is the WLAN or Wi-Fi kind of antenna thing, that actually where the reception comes in from. The USB port, which enables you to, just connect the PSP to the computer or laptop or Mac. And what that allows you to do is you can just simply sync music, video, some ISO games, or ISO games that are downloaded. You can download the game to your PSP, and obviously you can put photos on here as well, and I think there's a few other things you can put on there, a few mods, themes, things like that. Basically, you can just basically put on the PSP through USB. On top, then, you must be wondering what these circles are on the top. These allow you to plug a special camera. That is an external accessory for the PSP, and that allows you to obviously take photos. And there are some games that allow you to, using a special pad, I believe. I've watched this quite some time ago, so I'm not quite sure what they used, but it was a pad. It allows you to play, like for example, a fighting game on your kitchen or dining room table or any surface, and you can actually see the game taking place on, for a fighting game, as I mentioned, on your actual surface, which is pretty cool. It's pretty unusual, and I haven't really seen it that much, but I'm sure some people have made use out of it. So here you have the open slot, and this obviously opens the UMD tray at the back. So if you just simply press that, it pops open right there, and the UMD goes straight into the back. So if we shut that back up. So there are a few things on the back of the device. So where it's got the push button here, this is where the battery compartment is hidden. So you simply just press that and slide this backwards. Simply just take that off, and as you can see, there is a 3.6 milliamp battery in the back. I'm not sure if you can see it, the light's so bad. I'll try and zoom in. Yeah, there it is. 3.6 volts, sorry, with, trying to see if I can zoom in, with a 1800 milliamp power in the battery pack. This is the standard one from Sony. So we can put that back in. Wrong way. Back in. So obviously this is just where the UMD compartment is held, and over down here, this is where the memory card slot is held, Magic Gate memory card. So what you gotta do is just simply lift this up, and the memory card is simply hidden in there. You just press and pull out, and the memory card is there. I believe it can go right up to 32 gigabytes. It does not come with built-in memory like the Ipod, so you have to simply buy an external memory card and insert it in. It comes in a variety of different volumes, so that's pretty useful, and you can make loads of different copies of games. So yeah, that's a very good feature. And obviously you got this lanyard thing at the side, so when you're playing, simply slide that around your wrist and just play away. So that's the external features of the PSP. So let's move on to the Ipod. As you can see, the Ipod, it's a lot more simple formation. You have one button on the front, which is the home button right there, and that would normally give you the lock and open screen once turned on. So then you just simply slide across, and your GUI display is right in front of you. So I forgot to mention, the PSP has got a 4.3-inch screen, whereas the new, and I say the new one, The new iPod has a 4-inch display, whereas the older iPod had a 3.5-inch display. So there's been a massive increase from the iPod Touch 3G or 3 right up to the 4, iPod Touch 4, right up to the 5. So that's been the major change, the screen size. So at the front, it's very basic. It's all touchscreen, as you know, and there is a front-facing camera, which I believe is, I think it's 1.3 megabytes, 1.3 megapixels in terms of the quality of that camera, and it can record in 720p, which is pretty useful for FaceTime. And okay, so that's pretty much the front. So if you go to the side, you can see there is a volume rocker present. So that's obviously to increase the volume, that's to decrease the volume. Nothing else on that side. So turn to the side, again, nothing really much. So if you go to the top, as you can see, I'm not sure if you can be able to see this, but there's a microphone. It's a very small microphone at the top and at the back, which I'll show you in a second. And this is the power button here, and also the lock button, which is used to power the device on and off, and to to bring up the lock screen so you can slide to access your applications. So we turn to the back again. I've got a case on there, but we would normally have the Apple logo and details. So if we go here, there's a 1080p camera, which obviously records in 1080p, and the megapixel of this camera is, I believe it's 5. And here's the other microphone for recording for the front face, and it also comes with a flash, which is pretty useful. The very first iPod that Apple's made with flash. So at the very bottom here, you have the microphone input, or the headphone input with the microphone. This is the USB sync, as well as you also charge this using the same USB data cable from Apple. And here is the speaker port. I think it's just it's either mono or stereo speaker, I'm not too sure. There's only one speaker on this device. And yeah, the actual hardware for the iPod is a lot more simplified in comparison with the PSP, which has a whole range of buttons. And with the iPod, you only have one at the bottom, one at the top, making about 4 buttons in total, which is a massive difference to the PSP. But it depends what you'd actually prefer, whether you prefer someone who prefers touchscreen or someone who prefers buttons. That's completely up to the user. I mean, I don't mind. I prefer both, to be fair. It's got disadvantages with each and advantages of each, but apart from that, I'd say they are both pretty good devices in terms of hardware. So this has been part 1. Stay in tune for part 2, which will be coming in the not too distant future. By means I mean very soon. So yeah, this has been Bruce Tech here. If you have any questions, please comment below. So rate and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and have a pleasant day. Bye for now.